Good morning. Welcome to the Playful Life podcast. I am your host, Crystal from Crystallized Health Advisors. And as always, thank you to Ron Harlow Media for hosting this podcast on his platform. Remember, you can check out Ron Harlow every evening from 4 to 6. And also Erin Alice, the Cheeky Mom. She's on every Wednesday morning at 10 a.m. And they both have great shows for you. They bring you stuff about the region. Ron is a great news source. He also puts a little comedic spin on things sometimes, so it's not all news all the time. So definitely very enjoyable to check him out. Erin is awesome. She's got a lot of different arts and crafts and things that she personally makes and has them in some different stores around the region too. One of them being Just Serendipity, which is in Hammond. And to give a shout out to Just Serendipity, they're one of our sponsors here at Ron Harlow Media. And she's right downtown Hammond across from Harrison Park on Holman Avenue. Guys, especially this time of year, if you haven't visited Karen at Just Serendipity, go check it out. She's got some really awesome Halloween things in there and a lot of throwbacks to, when I was a kid, toys from the 90s, and even going further back, even at Christmas time, she has a lot of really cool vintage decorations and just things that will spark memories of, being at home with your family and all those good decorations. So definitely such a cool place to check out. Also want to mention Baxter Printing. Dave Tarosi over there at Baxter Printing, great friend, great sponsor here at Ron Harlow Media. He has a new location. They moved from their Highland location to Griffith, where the Pokro Brewery used to be there on Broad Street. So awesome place. Go ahead and go over there, check it out sometime. You can see all of his printers, and he still left some of the stuff from Pokro, the bar there and the stuff on the walls, the paintings and stuff. So it's actually kind of really neat to go there. And Dave, as always, I mentioned Captain Dave. He has a internet radio show that does not interfere with programming here at Ron Harlow Media. He's on Friday nights from 6 to 9 and just has a really great mixed variety of all kinds of music and keeps you entertained, and it's great. So if you're going to check that out, make sure you let him know so he can give you a shout out. So today I want to jump right in and just get to what is on my mind and heart to talk to you about. And this week I had actually planned to talk about something a little bit different, but I'm glad that I didn't really put it out to the world what I was going to talk about yet, because last night it came to me a different message that I wanted to bring to you all and talk about. And it's this idea of purpose. We hear that a lot. There's a lot of books on it and a lot of meditations on it. And, how do I find my purpose? And, that word can seem really overwhelming and insurmountable at times, because we think that purpose means like this ultimate end goal, right? What we're striving for with our lives and what we're gonna, maybe do with our career, or, what's my purpose in this world, right? And, sometimes it does apply to that. Sometimes we need to do some soul searching and figure out what it is we love to do and what career path we're going to take, or, if we're going to have a family and all of that. So, so that is a component of it. But I do want to talk about just sort of the very basic idea of purpose and how I think of it, and how we can feel like we're affecting change in this crazy world, just like little bits at a time. So what sparked all this was I was actually watching a show on Amazon, and it's called Utopia, and I am an extra in that show. Actually, I think I saw myself on one of the scenes, but I don't know. And then I went back and tried to find it and like pause it and rewind it, and then I couldn't find it. So I don't know. Maybe I was dreaming, but I know I'm in there somewhere. And there's this topic that they talk about in that show, and I don't want to give too much away. I definitely think you should watch it. It's especially really poignant for what's going on in the world right now, and you might be sitting there like, how did they know? How did they know? But anyway, not to get into that too much, but one of the things they repeat a lot in this show is, what have you done to earn your purpose in this world? And, some of the characters use it in sort of a, not such a great way, but there's this idea of people being born and understanding that they have some sort of purpose to fulfill. And that's what sort of drives them to make the decisions that they make and live how they choose to live. And so I can't just sit there and watch a television show without it, sparking some thought processes in my mind. So I was thinking about that idea of purpose. And I'm like, oh, like sometimes that word gives me some anxiety when I think about like, oh, I don't know, like, what is my ultimate purpose here? Like, I know God put me here for a reason, and I know that I'm born, in this experience, in this body, in this time period. I'm living through 2020 with you all, right? I mean, we're all going through this together. And, I'm born into the family I am, and I have the friends I have, and I'm just surrounded by the things that I'm surrounded by. And when you start to think about like the greater reason why all of this is, it can really be exciting, might bring on some anxiety, might make you feel grateful or have gratitude that we are living. If you're watching this podcast or listening to it, you probably have a smartphone or a computer or something, which is in all reality so much more than a lot of the rest of the world even has, right? So that idea of being grateful for this experience and this time and place with these people is always very important to finding that purpose or finding what drives you. So I want to explain that this is different than your why. So like your why in your life has to be, the why that we talk about, this like, this idea of why, why we want to lose weight, why we want to be healthy, why we want to exercise, why we want to go on some trip, why we want to have a certain kind of job or a certain kind of family. And, those are the things that like the desires, sort of the inner desires that drive us and have to be really, really strong and have to be rooted in something very personal for you to want to go and pursue those things. So when I talk about purpose, this is slightly different. This is more about action, I think, more about daily action. So I was driving the other day, and I was behind, this car, and I saw the person, I don't know if it was a man or a woman, and I saw them throw out like a wrapper. I don't know, like a plastic wrapper of some kind. Might have been like a wrapper for food, or might have been like like a wrapper from like a cigarette box, or sometimes they come in those little plastic. And I was just like, huh. So I just, I was sort of driving behind this person in my car and go, well, they could have, probably not done that. And then like a little bit further down the road, a couple minutes, they threw like an entire bag of fast food. I don't know if it was empty. I hope they didn't even waste. I hope they didn't waste the food. But I mean, this person, who knows? But they threw the entire bag out their window and just like hit the ground, and my car drove by it. And I was like, huh. Like, I can't imagine ever thinking that I would do that. I don't know. Like, have you ever seen people just throw garbage like on somebody's property or like out the window as they're driving? I mean, it's nuts. I mean, like, I'll be honest, like, I'll throw a hair out the window sometimes, like, it's my hair shed, so I'll be like, I don't know, throw that out the window. But I'm like, that's organic material, right? I don't know. But it just got me thinking sort of earlier this week, like, the consideration for others and that idea of leaving the world better than when we got here. And it doesn't have to be grandiose. It doesn't have to be, a world-changing, scientific discovery, or it doesn't have to be, making some sort of policy that changes the world and, fixes all of our problems. I mean, there are people who are called to do that stuff, and you may be called to do something like that, but how do you get there, right? How do you attract the opportunities to be in a position where you're going to affect that kind of change, right? And have that kind of purpose. I think it really starts small. So leaving a room better than when you entered it. Leaving, your house. Are you living in a house? Are you a homeowner? Do you do things to better your house for the next person who's going to live there? My house is 100 years old, and I know at some point some people did some work around here to ensure that this house would be standing when I bought it 4 years ago. So I think about stuff like that. And a great example of this, ladies, the ladies listening are totally going to get this. I don't know if men's restrooms are like this because I don't go into men's restrooms, but guys, let me tell you, I don't know what it is about women in public restrooms, but I know you will identify with this, ladies. Like when you go to throw away the paper towel, like 9 times out of 10, right? Like the garbage, the paper towel thing, like where you throw it, like is so full that it's overflowing and they end up on the ground, and then like you'll see paper towel just like crumpled up and thrown like by the sink. And I'm like, what is going on here? And there's like soap all over the place. And like in the stalls, there's like toilet paper on the floor. I mean, it's just like, I know that like y'all aren't keeping your house bathroom like this. I just don't get it. So like, it's one of those things where like sometimes if it seems like there might be some room, like I'll take a paper towel and I'll hold it, in my hand, and I'll just like press down the paper towels because I'm sure there's just paper towels in there most of the time. So kind of press it down so that like the next person who throws one in there has some room. And another thing that I saw somebody do once, and I was like, this is brilliant. I'm going to do this all the time now. So like, those paper towel dispensers that have like the handle or the thing that like you press down and the paper towels come out the bottom. Well, I mean, how many times you've just washed your hands, you don't want to touch that little handle to get the paper towel out, right? So what I started doing is so simple. I will, use my elbow or something, right? Or go wash my hands after, but I'll get a little bit of paper towel and do that. And then I'll take the paper towel I just used to wash my hands, find a dry spot, and I will dispense enough paper towel coming out the bottom so that the next person can grab at least a little bit of it and use that piece of paper towel to get the rest out for themselves, or even have just a piece waiting for themselves. Like, I can't tell you the times that I am in that situation and somebody has done that, somebody's thought about the next person and dispensed a little bit of paper towel. I'm like, thank you, universe, thank you, God, for putting this person here before me to do this. So, I mean, that's just such a little example of something that we could do to just make something better than when we found it or when we were there last. And I love this too. Like, people in my family think I'm nuts sometimes, but like if I'm at the grocery store out shopping or something and like like a sale flyer, those like grocery store sale flyers, like they're really slick. Like whatever, I don't know what they make that paper out of, but guys, I mean, if you've ever slipped on one of those, it's dangerous. So like, I don't know, people just, again, throw those, they end up on the floor. I don't know how that ends up on the floor in produce aisle, but it does. So I'll just like, if I like don't want to pick it up, if it seems dirty or something, like I'll take my foot and just slide it like under, under like the produce thing, or just somewhere out of the way where like somebody, like some maybe older person or something isn't going to come along and not see it and slip and fall. Like, it's so simple. Just take your foot, move it out of the way, right? Just kind of giving you guys some ideas here. But, thinking about this on a larger scale, I want you to think about like, what do you have? What qualities do you have that you think you can share with the world, with others on a daily basis, weekly basis, whatever it is, that could make the world better, right? And I'm not like saying like, go out and make the world a better place, right? I'm saying like, make your family life better, make your relationships better, make your health better, make your career environment happier. What are these little things that we can do and know at the end of the day, like, hey, I did everything that I intended to do. I didn't make the world a worse place today by, being a sourpuss and treating everybody like junk. Like what do what are those little things in your life, or the areas that you can affect the most change? And maybe it is like when you walk into your dining room, or sit down on your couch, and like maybe somebody left an empty plate there, or a piece of garbage or something. And instead of getting mad at that person and having lecture and all this, I mean, just simply picking it up, taking it to the garbage or the kitchen or to the sink or whatever. But if we just do these little things during the day, they don't add up to these overwhelming projects. Same thing, like if I go in my closet and I notice that things are kind of like disheveled or whatever, like I'll just try to like kind of just straighten out the hangers a little bit. Or if I'm walking through my bedroom, and sometimes, guys, I'm in a hurry, and like I will like throw clothes here or there, and I'll be like, oh, you know what, I'm gonna go hang up this article of clothing. I mean, those are just like little things that you could do at home, right? And I started thinking about this in a sort of a little bit broader sense. And my husband and I were having a discussion about politics, and how it doesn't seem like a lot of stuff really gets done. And people have maybe good intentions, or they have good virtue behind them, but when it comes to actually making any changes in the world, it seems like things get done very slowly. And I was thinking about this idea of, of course, we look back at history and say, man, I can't believe, like, the founding fathers, for instance, like they had, I should say founding mothers too, because I'm sure those guys all had wives. I'm sure their wives were like putting up with some crazy stuff. They were cooking home cooked meals for them. They were taking care of the kids. Like, founding mothers are also very important. So founding mothers and fathers. And the people who like sort of built this country and built the structure of our government, and they really had a lot of forethought. Like, I think about it, like I took a course in college about American government and how it all came to be. And I was like, wow, these guys really thought about a lot. But like, what the flip, guys? You didn't think that slavery was a bad thing? What? I don't understand. Like, that makes me angry when I think back on it. And I'm like, you had all of this forethought to put forth all of these things to make sure that like we're free, and we have elections and all these things. And I mean, just look at the Constitution. Like, our Constitution is brilliant, like brilliant. But they couldn't see the value in another human being. So anyway, it got me thinking and a little bit angry. And I was like, what are the things that are happening like right now in our world, in our society, that like we're, future generations 100 years from now are going to look back and be like, okay, so you're telling me that these people like traveled to the moon, and or into space, and they created these cell phone things that, like, I mean, 100 years from now they're going to be obsolete anyway, but they were like, hey, you had these cell phone things, you could put a computer inside your pocket and carry it anywhere with you, like literally around the world, but you couldn't figure out this or that, like injustice, like, you know with the justice system, or with race injustice, and and gender injustice and all this stuff. And I was like, oh my god, I was like really overwhelmed, right? I'm like, okay, so what can I do, and it just came down to just being really simple. Like, I just got quiet and sort of asked God to come in and enlighten me and kind of show me, like, I don't know, how can I even affect change in this, right? Like, I want to know that when I get to the end of my life, whenever that is, like, that I did stuff to make life better for future generations. So, whether it's picking up that trash that somebody throws on the ground, or, just thinking like, well, what are the gifts and talents that I was born with that I can share, and, just make life a little bit better. So, for me, I like to sing, I like to act, I've always been an entertainer. And I'm like, from the time I was very little, I realized that people had joy when I would be, funny or goofy or do things to make them laugh. And so, or, when I would sit down at the piano and sing a goofy song, right? I mean, that brought joy sometimes in a chaotic house, in a chaotic family situation. And I think I got really into that idea that I could use my voice, I could use my talents, I could, do things to entertain people. And so, now that I am living out my life and I'm able to entertain people for a living, which is awesome, and affect people's health in a positive way, through just being who I am. Like that's how I'm affecting change in the world, and it made me feel good because I was like, you know what, I might not be a really powerful politician. I might not have all the money in the world right now to go, to other countries and feed people and build wells and, be a missionary. Like that might not be my purpose right now and or ever. I don't know. I don't know where God will lead me. But right now, what can I do today? Uh this this day, tomorrow, the week, and going on a tour, and we're going to be entertaining some veterans and their families. And I was like, this is the little bit of joy, little bit of happiness that I can bring people in a moment where they can forget about the stress of the world, they can forget about COVID-19, and just, be entertained, and we'll keep everybody safe and keep everybody distanced, and just let people come and hear some music and comedy, and just get people's mind off things for a while. So that's how I'm affecting change in the world. And maybe you're a busy mom or dad and you have kids and you're working all the time and you're trying just hard enough to make the world go round, right? And you're like, well, that's not me. I don't go out and entertain people for a living. Well, you have kids, which is so important. Like your purpose in life is like whoa, like way up there. Like I can't imagine. I don't have kids yet, so I don't know what that's like, but I can imagine or bet that it feels very much like you want to make the world a better place for your child, right? So I think teaching your kids the values, and teaching your kids to find their own purpose in the world, and to make, leave the room better than it was, leave the public bathroom better than it was, pick up the garbage when you see it, smile at a stranger, leave somebody's day better than it was. And to me, that's the most important thing that parents can pass on to their kids, because I mean, please and thank you, right? In just simple manners, because if we could just start creating generations after us that are more concerned about the world and the environment and other people, then maybe we're going to be doing all right in another 100 years. And I would absolutely love that. Who knows if we'll be around in 100 years? Maybe some of us will, some of us won't. But knowing that we did our part to raise the next generation to have those values and to go forth and do great things. And I always want to tie this into health, because I do think that it always comes back to self. And if we have all these great dreams and plans, and you have such a strong why, and you want to find that purpose and you want to live out that purpose, like you have to live long enough and well enough to be able to fulfill that purpose. And really got me thinking again about this foot issue that I've been having. And because my husband, like our whole marriage has been basically surrounded by foot injuries for me, like our whole relationship. And like that's been my life. And I talked to people, like I was talking to a friend of mine yesterday, and I'm like, oh, when you're at the foot doctor, and she's like, no, I've never been to a podiatrist. And I was like, oh yeah, most people probably don't have their foot doctor on speed dial. But for whatever reason, God has given me, that cross to bear, or something to learn from this experience in this life. So I just embrace it. And I have this thing called a Taylor's bunion. And it's from years of just improper form and overuse and all this stuff. And I just want to be transparent with you all, because you see my workout videos, you see my posts, and it's not all easy. And believe me, there are times when I'm in pain and I got to work through it and I got to adjust what I'm doing. So, what I have discovered is that I need to take a step back and not be so active on my feet, in a sense that I need to find other ways basically to stay healthy physically that don't involve wearing a tennis shoe for 8 hours a day, walking, running, jumping. teaching classes. This is something that I'm struggling with, but I think for now I have to give up at least for a while because I want to prolong the health of my feet. So all that being said, I've taken up swimming a little bit. I'm not a swimmer by any means. I've never been a swimmer. In fact, when I was a kid, my mom would get a doctor's note so that I didn't have to go to swim class with the rest of the students. We didn't have a pool at the school, but anyway, whatever time that I needed to do a swim class, like I got out of it with a doctor's note. Okay, I was that kid. Okay, I was that kid. Full transparency here. And I don't know. I think I was just sick a lot. I had a bad immune system. I was unhealthy, right? We've talked about this before. I was an unhealthy kid. So my mom was like, if she's going to go to school and have wet hair all day, like she's going to get pneumonia. It's going to be a whole thing. So just tell her she shouldn't be swimming. And so, I never really learned like proper form or like how to take the breaths when you turn your head or, just simple things like that I'm like, I can swim. If you threw me in a pool or whatever, like I wouldn't drown. Like I know how to swim, but I'm not like a swimmer by any means. So, I kind of went, I think I talked about this in my podcast last week that I just sort of like thought, okay, well, what can I do today to make this better, to make my foot better today? What can I do? And I was like, all right, so it's going to be a lot of yoga, a lot of bar, a lot of Pilates and swimming because I'm like, I don't need a shoe to do any of this stuff. And I won't be jumping. So it's going to be better on my ankle. And it's been a challenge and it's been a rough go, but I'm getting there. And I'm like, you know what? I'll just learn as I go. It's okay. As long as I'm in the water and I'm just moving my body for an hour, I'll be fine. So I don't even know where I was going with that. Oh yeah. So yesterday I went to visit my podiatrist who, like I said, is on my speed dial. We're friends. And he gave me a cortisone injection and I had never had one of these before. And like, I don't do good with shots. Like I'm probably going to get like, woo, like woo, even thinking about this, but I had what's called a vasovagal syncope response where all the blood rushed out of my head and to my legs and my, foot and pretty much passed out for like a split second. And they had to get me on my back, lift my legs up over my head. It was a whole thing. And it took me an hour to kind of recover and get in the car and drive home, about a half hour drive. And I'm thinking like, man, this is nuts. Like, what a pain. But to say all this is like I have a show this weekend. I have 3 shows where I need to be in shoes, dancing on my feet. And I did that. I went through that experience, had that injection because I want to be able to fulfill my purpose, right? I want to be able to go and entertain and do the things that I love that are on my heart and bring joy to others and modifying things along the way and making those compromises along the way, but ultimately not compromising the purpose that drives me to want to affect change in the world. So it wasn't fun and it was certainly a challenge. And I'm doing better today. So we'll see how my Pilates session goes today. But all of that to say that sometimes it's going to be uncomfortable. Sometimes you're going to be having to maybe sacrifice a little bit of comfort or time, or maybe you're going to have to pick up that dish and bring it to the sink, or clean up the bathroom a little bit before you leave it and rewash your hands, whatever it is. Like, take the second to be slightly inconvenienced, knowing that you are affecting some kind of change. You're making the world just a slightly better place for future you, for next person. And when it comes to your health, same thing, right? When we get up and we work out, or we have a long day at work and we say, I am going to get on that treadmill, or I am going to go, to the gym, or whatever it is, think about that little, the inconvenience of that discomfort that you feel in the moment. You're just like, I would rather just be sitting on my couch right now or doing anything else but working out. You're making your future self so much better, right? So just that, what can you do in the present to make you better, to make your life better? Because if you're better, if you feel good, if you have good health, you're going to be able to, continue, have longevity, have these moments where you can fulfill that purpose of making the world a better place, one little action, one day at a time. And same thing with nutrition. I'm running this 21-day group right now, and I'm so proud of the people in this group. You guys they have been crushing it if they're watching this, crushing it with like food preparation. Like I'm seeing these meals that people are preparing, and it is wow, you guys have come such a long way. And some of the people who have been in the group with me before, they were just sort of, I don't know, throwing things together, just trying to choose healthy things. And life is busy, and I know that a lot of people are on the go, but they are just doing an amazing job because they're taking, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever it is, they're finding time to sacrifice somewhere else, and they're putting that into food preparation and shopping and getting their grocery list going, and understanding that it might take a little bit of discomfort in the very moment to make sure that they have something healthy waiting for them and their family, next the next meal or the next day or whatever it is. So um just I hope I got you thinking about your purpose, and why you were created in this moment, in this time, in this physical body, because I do believe that there is a purpose for all of us, and it doesn't have to be to do huge, great, amazing things. I mean, obviously, we're all capable of those things, but if that makes you feel anxious thinking about all of the big things that you want to accomplish, just start small. Just start small, and you're going to be able to build on that and gain that confidence and go out and do amazing things for not only yourself but for other people. And with that said, I hope that you like this video, give it a like at the bottom, subscribe to the channel here on YouTube, and share this with somebody. Share this with somebody that you think might be a little bit down. We're going through such a tough time with all this COVID stuff, and a lot of people are still maybe alone or feeling very lonely. They can't get out. They're just, feeling inconvenienced by wearing a mask. I mean, whatever it is, people are just going through some rough times. So I'm here. I think one of my purposes is to inspire some hope and to get you moving, and to get you thinking about these things so that I can affect this little change in the world, one person at a time, with each person that I touch. So share this video, like, subscribe, do all the things. And I will see you next time. Thanks again to Ron Harlow Media, as always, for hosting this podcast. And I will see you later. Stay playful.